Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jake Dixon here, the productivity coach in the Keller Williams Realty Fort Mill, South Carolina office, and coming at you today with video number 3 out of a series of 19 videos where we're discussing the top 19 things they do not teach you in real estate school. So, today's topic is lead generation, and I could probably speak for 30 minutes to an hour about this subject, so I'm going to try and cram it in just to a few minutes so I can keep your attention. But anyways, so lead generation. First, I just want to address the actual word itself because no matter what company you currently work for or are going to work for, you're going to hear this, or they may label it as prospecting, lead generation. It's the same thing. So first of all, I've been in that seat where when we hear that word, it kind of freaks us out, if we're being honest, because we immediately associate that with telemarketing or some sort of slimy sales calls or something like that. So I want to just shift your mindset when we talk about lead generating or prospecting to building relationships. Go make friends, build relationships, come from value and contribution. And as long as you're having a meaningful two-way conversation about real estate every single day, that is lead generation, okay? I think a lot of times when we immediately hear that word, we automatically associate it with hours and hours spent on the phone cold calling through a phone book or something like that. And there's a million and one ways to lead generate. So we're not going to get into all those different strategies today, but I just want to talk about lead generation conceptually. So that being said, as I said in earlier videos, when you got into real estate and obtained your real estate license, little did you know you also joined the lead generation business. So there's a lot of different schools of thought. We come from old school. Again, it's just following the model in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book that you should lead generate for 2 to 3 hours every day. Now, starting out, if you're a brand new agent, you should lead generate all day, every day, okay? But as a common principle, no matter if you have any closings or transactions going on at the time, you should always carve out 2 to 3 hours of lead generation every day. And let me tell you what that looks like, because a lot of people never deep dive into this. They just, again, automatically imagine themselves sitting here for 3 hours doing nothing but cranking out phone calls or whatever. And maybe that is what that looks like. But it can also look like open houses. Maybe you're doing a networking event, leveraging social media and text messages. There's all different kinds of ways to lead generate. But if we unpack that time block, what it really truly is supposed to look like is the first 30 minutes or so can be spent doing prep work. Okay, so it's just getting your call list together. If we're assuming you're making calls that particular day, that way you can just go one by one on down the list without hesitation or without having to pause and go scramble to look up somebody's cell phone number. Just have that list all ready to go. So that's 30 minutes or so of prep time. Now, the next hour to an hour and a half is going to be the actual doing of the lead generating. So that's the actual activity of making the calls, door knocking, going to the networking event, or whatever the case may be. And then the last hour is going to be spent doing lead follow-up. So talking to who I spoke to yesterday or the week prior, or sending some handwritten notes as a nice follow-up gesture. So to recap that, if we're dedicating 3 hours to lead gen, the first 30 minutes or so are going to be spent doing prep. The next hour to an hour and a half are going to be spent doing the actual activity. And then the last hour or so is going to be spent doing lead follow-up, because that's equally, if not even more important than lead generation oftentimes. Okay, so I just want to get that out there. I'm also a person who's going to call things like it is. So I know probably many of you have had people in your life say, oh, you're getting into real estate. Wow, good for you. But boy, you better be ready, because you're not going to see your first closing or commission check for 6 months. Okay, and I think that's absolute crap. Now, if you choose to accept that as your reality, that is your choice. However, it doesn't have to be your reality as long as you're coachable, you're engaged, and you're plugged in, and you're committed to doing the daily habits and routines to be successful. And a lot of times that's just unsexy. It's the boring, repetitious, day in, day out stuff that you just gotta grind it out and suck it up and do. Okay, and that's what we like to call lead generate. But to take it further from there, I believe also that success leaves clues. And a lot of top agents, if you role model their businesses, they're very consistent in their lead generation platforms. But also a lot of them will tell you, if you ask the question, what would you have done differently looking back, knowing what you know now? Many of them will answer the question that I wish I would have stuck to the models in the lead generation and been more consistent with that from day one. Okay, so you can learn a lot from from talking to other people. Now, here's the kicker. What's going to happen is, let's say you do spend these next 60, 90 days consistent lead generating every single day and just really committing to that time on task over time concept. What's going to happen is you're going to get some business, and that's a good thing, right? But it can also be the detriment, and you get wrapped up in this whirlwind. We often reference the 80-20 principle. What's your life going to look like when you've got 4 things pended, 5 new listings on the market, 4 other buyers who want to have you show them properties? It's really, really easy to get your time and energy sucked into servicing the existing business, and we neglect the very thing that got us there in the first place. So this is my waving of the towel. I'm warning you, do not neglect the very things that got you there in the first place. The most important part of your day is lead generating or building those relationships, right? Always looking for, where's the business going to come from tomorrow, all right? You cannot afford to get wrapped up in the stuff, the 80%, right? And if you're not familiar with the 80-20 rule, what it suggests is 20% of your activities are going to generate 80% of your results. But many of us, myself included, get so wrapped up in just the day-to-day busyness, right? And we lose sight of the income-generating activities, that the very first thing that drops off of our calendar or our time blocking is going to be lead generation, because we have all these fires or urgent things that we feel we have to put out. So anyways, don't lose sight of lead generation. Get an idea of what that's going to look like for you. And when I'm coaching with folks, we're always going to isolate it to your strengths, okay? I want to maximize, I want to turn up the volume on your strengths. So if you know you're really good in person, look, we're gonna develop your lead generation strategy around that. If you know you're just not a phone call kind of person. Now, there's no excuse not to do phone calls. That's a different topic. But for the most part, the core bulk of your lead generation strategy will stem around whatever your strengths are, instead of catering to whatever your weaknesses are, if that makes sense. So at any rate, guys, lead generate, aka prospect, aka just go make some freaking friends and have discussions about real estate. And there's a great way to do that. I'll give you scripts and dialogues, so it's not that slimy sort of feeling like a lot of people have this this concept that it is. So anyways, hope you guys found this valuable. Lead generate, be consistent with it, be clear, have a plan of action every single day of what you're going to do to advance that business forward, and I think you'll like where you'll be sitting. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for plugging in, and we'll catch you next time. Again, this is number 3 of 19, so next video will be number 4 of 19 in the top 19 things they don't teach you in real estate school. Check you guys later. Thanks.